Mama Khadijah was the queen of the marketplace. She owned a small food stand, but her business was the busiest. Men and women lined up for a taste of her stew. The aroma pulled them in, but it was something else that kept them coming back, her presence. She had a backside so big and firm it swayed like a pendulum as she moved. It hypnotized her customers. Men would stop mid-stride just to admire her. Women envied her, though they, too, could not resist her cooking. She knew her power and used it well. Her stew was legendary. Spicy, rich, and unforgettable. No one could replicate it. Other food vendors tried to compete, but they all failed. Her business flourished while theirs dwindled. Long ago, Mama Khadijah had not always been the most powerful food vendor. Years ago, she had arrived in the town with nothing but a small cooking pot and an iron will. No one knew where she came from. She did not speak of her past, nor did she ask about anyone else's. She simply found a spot in the busy market, set up her stall, and began to cook. At first, no one paid her much attention. There were already plenty of food vendors selling their own variations of spicy stews, grilled meats, and fried snacks. But slowly, something strange happened. The customers who tasted her food once always returned. Within weeks, her stall became the most popular in the market. Vendors who had been there for years began losing business. The more they tried to compete, the more they failed. Whispers spread, "She must be using something." The vendors murmured in hushed tones, "No one's food is that good naturally." But no one could figure out her secret. She bought the same ingredients as everyone else. She prepared her meals in plain sight. Yet, her stew had a taste that no one could describe, something that lingered on the tongue and left a craving that never went away. As the months passed, Mama Khadijah became the heartbeat of the market. Her laughter rang out like a melody, her movements fluid and confident. Even those who disliked her could not ignore her presence. Men would pretend to pass by just to steal a glance at her swaying hips. Women who secretly envied her could not resist the pull of her food. She had a power no one could explain, a presence that commanded attention. Her competitors grew desperate. They spied on her cooking, hoping to catch a glimpse of the magic she used. But all they ever saw was her stirring her pot, humming a tune, moving in a slow, deliberate rhythm as though she were dancing with the flames beneath her pot. One night, after a long day of selling, a group of envious vendors decided they had waited long enough. They would catch her red-handed, expose whatever charm or potion she was using. They hid in the shadows of the market, waiting for her to begin her nightly ritual of preparing the next day's stew. What they saw made their stomachs turn. In the dim glow of her lantern, Mama Khadijah squatted over the bubbling pot. A trickling sound filled the silence. At first, they thought it was water. But the smell told them otherwise. She was urinating into the stew. The spies froze in shock. Their stomachs twisted in disgust. They wanted to look away, but their eyes were locked on her. Their gasps made her look up. Her eyes gleamed in the dark. She did not panic. She did not run. Instead, she stood tall, wiped her hands on her apron, and smiled. "So, you have found out," she said, horrified. They called for others. The news spread like wildfire. Within minutes, the entire market gathered around her stall. "Is it true?" Someone shouted. She nodded, unbothered. "Yes, my urine makes my stew delicious." Disgusted, the crowd roared. They grabbed her arms, ready to drag her to the police. But just as they turned to leave, the grip around her arms loosened. She was gone. Not a single soul saw how it happened. One moment she was there, the next, she had vanished into thin air. A breeze swept through the market. Carrying the lingering scent of her stew, the people searched every stall, every alley. They turned over pots and looked behind sacks of grains. Nothing. She had disappeared like a shadow at dusk. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. No sign of Mama Khadijah. But then, strange stories began to emerge. She was seen selling food in another town, someone said. No, she is in the next village, another claimed. People swore they saw her, but no one could prove it. No one could catch her. A merchant in a faraway town claimed he bought the same irresistible stew from an old woman with a familiar sway. A traveler reported seeing a food stand appear in the night, only to vanish by morning. Some believed she had been cursed, forced to wander from town to town, forever cooking her strange stew. Others whispered she was never human at all, that she was a spirit, luring people with a taste that bound them to her forever. One night, in a distant market, a group of traders sat by a fire, recounting her tale. They laughed nervously, convincing themselves it was just a story. Then, from the shadows, came a familiar voice. Soft, melodic, and teasing, "Would you take a bite?" The fire flickered. The traders looked around. But there was no one there, no one. Except the scent of spicy, rich stew lingering in the air. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.